Welcome to Unruly 3, father of 3 unruly kids.
I'm not really.
So my Space Invader bowl seemed to, by far, get the most views that I've had. So I thought, along those lines, I'm going to try to do a Pac-Man one. So here I am just cutting some of the shapes. This is going to be part of the maze, and I'm going to use walnut, and I'm going to use maple on this one. And I really went back and forth about how to do the ghost. So I thought about using like blue wood, or orange wood for some of them. But in the long haul, I decided to use epoxy. So here I'm putting down some carbon paper, and I am tracing out the shape of the Pac-Man. And you got to push pretty hard, go over it a couple times. But if you tape down the Pac-Man, then it doesn't slip. And then you got a Pac-Man underneath. And then here, I just use the same ghost for all of them. I'm just making sure that it's kind of square on the bottom. And then go around and trace out the ghost. I had to do 4 of these guys. And then after I got these guys all traced out and together, I took them over and I drilled a hole into them so that I could use my scroll saw. And I actually went through about four or five blades on this, and then I actually had my father-in-law use his DeWalt one. I ended up using a pretty thin blade on this, and I think that's why it was breaking. He had a little bit thicker blades, and after I went down and bought some thicker blades, it went a little bit better as well. But these, the shapes were 1.5 inches thick. So then I got some epoxy, and I put in the blue here. This is going to be the first ghost, and then I just repeated the same thing for all the other ones. Now, we were originally thinking of doing 3 levels like this, with in between having like a maze, but it was just too deep, so we ended up bringing it down and only doing 2 levels, and then having more ghosts and the Pac-Man kind of crunched in. Here I'm trying to find the center of my base, and then I drilled a hole here. This is going to be my tenon, and I can hook that up into my my chuck. Then it's all about gluing it up. So actually when I glued these up, I did get one of the ghosts in the wrong spot, and it was a little bit frustrating because I made my wife come down and we sat here forever trying to figure out exactly how we wanted to put these. But it didn't make a big difference, but it was a little bit frustrating because it did end up in the wrong spot. But in the end, I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So I did find this song on the internet, so enjoy this little gem here. So last time we talked about videos that I was making my daughter watch, and the last bowl that I did was that full bowl. It wasn't a segmented one, and it really bucked me around a lot. And I made my daughter watch 8 seconds, and she loved it. But at the end, spoilers for everybody, when Lane Frost dies, I was like watching her to see if she had any kind of reaction, and she looked at me and she's like, "Well, of course I knew that he died." At the picture that they had on Netflix showed people carrying a casket, so she knew somebody died, and so she was just guessing that it was him. So that picture kind of ruined it for her. I was really wanting to see her reaction. But after this one, after this Pac-Man one, I think I'm going to go with, I think Back to the Future would probably be a really good one for her to watch. How awesome was that, right? So this epoxy needs to be sanded down a lot farther than just the normal wood. So I'm using these Micro Mesh Ultra Flex Cushion Abrasives from, I think I got these at Rockler. So it takes it all the way up from 1500 grit, and the last one is at 12,000. But it does need to, they work a lot, well, I think they're wet. I always use water when I'm using them. So I just spray it with a water bottle and then sand them down. And by the time they're done, they look really good. You can see right through them, and they're super clear. One of them, the blue one, had some kind of void in it. So I put these in a pressure pot, and for some reason when I was turning it, this big piece kind of came out. I don't know what happened, why it didn't glue very good, but you'll see it kind of has a spot where the blue one has a weird void in it. So you can kind of see how the maze part is built on here. I have the maple in the middle there, and then the walnut blocks that kind of allow the ghost to go up and down. And I'm using the finish. I'm using that deft clear wood finish that I use a lot. I put about 3 coats on here, sanded it, and then sanded it with like a dollar bill actually is what I used, and then 2 more coats. And I'm putting my brand on the bottom. Give it a quick sanding here with 180 grit. Maybe I might have went up to 180, then 220, and then put the finish onto the bottom. And here's how it turned out. You can you'll be able to see here the ghost. See that blue one? You can see that void in the back of it. But I think the ghost turned out good. You can see the maze that they go through. And then right over here, this is kind of where one of them got out of place. That's that big void. There's no ghost here at all. But you can see the maze part where they go up and over. Then they have that dead end that they go to there. Also, I just want to say thanks so much for supporting my channel and giving comments. It really means a lot to me. I'm just doing this for fun, but I'm sure having a great time. I hope you guys are enjoying them. So as a bonus, look at this. I put a light on the inside, and it really shines through really good. It's kind of fun. But when I turn off the light, the pigment that I used is going to be glow in the dark. So look at that. You got some ghost in there. They just look glow in the dark. It doesn't really show the color. The blue one has some color, but the rest of them are all just green.